Okay, the rest of the world uses the metric system. The United States still uses the English or standard system. So while the rest of the world is using Celsius, we're using Fahrenheit. We're gonna, until we switch over, we're gonna have to continue to be able to convert between the two, especially in the field of medication. If you're looking at, you've got two formulas. You can convert from Celsius to Fahrenheit, or from Fahrenheit to degrees in Celsius. Let's take a look at, how about 40 degrees Celsius is equal to how many degrees Fahrenheit? Well, I'm going from Celsius to Fahrenheit, and it's kind of easy to see because this is the equal Fahrenheit, so I'm going to use this one here because this gives me the Celsius, and I'm going to convert it to Fahrenheit. So I'm going to plug in the 40 for the degrees Celsius times 1 8/10, and then I'm going to add 32, and that'll give me my degrees Fahrenheit. I notice I have the degrees on the wrong side on all of these, so let me just fix that real quick so I don't confuse anybody. That's all that this means, is degrees Celsius, degrees Fahrenheit. Okay. And to refresh again, what I did is they gave me 40 degrees Celsius. So I'm going to plug it in where I see the degrees Celsius. So I have 40 times my 1 8/10, then I'm going to add 32. The first thing I have to do is 40 times 1 8/10. I'm going to do it like this, 1 8/10 times 40. Make sure you can see that. That's going to be 0. 4 times 8 is 2, carry a 3. 4 times 1 is just 4, 72. Where do I put my decimal point? Right there. Because there's 1 to the right of the decimal. So my answer, there's 1 to the right of the decimal. 72 degrees, am I done? No. I figured out this part, now I need to add my 32. So if you have a digital thermometer, or you're being consulted with someone who's using metric system and they say this patient has a temperature of 40 degrees Celsius, you convert that and you find out that they have a temperature of 104 degrees Fahrenheit. Probably want to keep them cool, and especially if it's an infant, take a look at that. How about the other direction? What if you're looking at somebody who has, let's say, a temperature of 107. You probably should be in the hospital with a temperature of 107, but let's take a look at it. They have a temperature of 107 degrees Fahrenheit. And you call the doctor, and the doctor wants to know, well, what is that in Celsius? This gives me the Fahrenheit, so I'm going to plug it right in. 107 minus 32 divided by 1 8/10. And that'll give me my degrees in Celsius. So 107 minus 32, that's easy enough. That's a 5, and 10 minus 3 is 7. Okay, now comes the tricky part. 75 divided by 1 8/10. And I'm going to rewrite that. 75 divided by 1 8/10. You can see why it was important for us to learn about how to do division with decimals. Remember, I cannot divide with the decimal, so I have to move it over one place. One place, so I no longer have a decimal. And since I moved this over one place, I also have to move this over one place. And it was here, now it's going to be here. And this is probably going to come out kind of funky, so I'm going to go ahead and put a decimal point up there also. How many times does 18 go into 75? I believe it's 4 times. Let's find out. 2 carry a 3, 72. That worked out pretty well. 30. How many times does 18 go into 30? It'll only go in there one time. And that would leave me with 12. I could just say this as a fraction, 12 over 18. But generally they want it in decimals, so we're going to go ahead and add a 0. 18 goes into 120 how many times? 6 or 7? I think 6 times. 6 times 8 is 8, carry a 4, 108. At this point, I'd probably round this off. I've got a remainder of 12 down here. 12/18, yes. It's just going to keep continuing on. So I would round it to the nearest tenth and say they have a temperature of 41 7/10 degrees Celsius. At which time the doctor will probably scream to you, "We're going to send the plane and medvac them." But there you go. That's it for Unit 3. Again, be sure to do your work, do a good job, and feel free to use the book and practice with IXL and whatever you need to do to be successful. Remember, it's not going to be easy. You need to work hard to make it work, but I know you can do it. Okay? And as you can see, we're starting to get more and more into the medical section of this mathematics. We'll see you later for Section 4, for Unit 4.